The Weeknd is finally continuing the rollout of his new album, Afterlife, or whatever it might be called. We thought he kind of stopped dropping trailers, but now he dropped a third one that transitions into smoothly from the other two we've gotten, so we gotta talk about this. If you want to stay up to date with everything surrounding hip-hop, make sure to subscribe and also become a part of this community by joining our Discord server in the description. Real quick, if you don't want to listen to this, make sure to skip 10 seconds into the future, but you can now sign up for my free newsletter with the first link in the description. It comes every Sunday and recaps everything that's been happening in hip-hop over the past week, so make sure to do that. So the rollout for his new album has so far been that he's dropped 2 trailers. Starting with the first trailer, there are 3 chapters in this tale about 2.5 weeks ago. This gave us the first introduction to this young Abel character, whose story we seem to follow throughout these trailers. We then also got The Abyss Gazes Also Into You. If you gaze into it long enough, you'll know that saying, which was then kind of neatly transitioned into from the first one, and we were already kind of expecting, okay, we're kind of getting like a little movie for the rollout of this record that is hopefully gonna drop soon. I'm hoping that it's still gonna be either end of August or September, October. You know, that would kind of be my wish for this, but we're not here to talk about the release date. We're here to talk about the new trailer that just dropped, which then also continues this entire story of young Abel and his journey. So let's take a look at it. So this is called Unprepared Certainty. So far, all of these have been pretty philosophical and poetic in their titling. But let's go through a couple of key scenes of this trailer and discuss how that might affect the album. Now, what I wanted to say at the beginning is that the song that started at the end of The Abyss Gazes Also Into You, which is then cut off after 2 seconds in the middle of a bar, which is crazy. We thought this was going to get continued in the new trailer because that was obviously a pretty cool song that I would have wished to hear more of. It just doesn't appear. It's just not in there. So we have no idea what that song could be like. But anyway, let's talk about a couple of the key scenes. Now we have young Abel walking, you know, to this house where there's a woman in a white robe. It's a pretty cool looking scene. We have a snippet playing that might be called Legacy, but could also be called No Afterlife, because that was also mentioned in the lyrics of that snippet, which is interesting because Afterlife is kind of the idea that we have for the title of this record. So he's, you know, kind of referencing it here already. It definitely, what I wanted to also add here, sounds more like Dawn FM. It sounds more like that purgatory sound than the heartbreak sound of After Hours, but likely it'll be a mix of two, since, you know, in the whole concept or narrative of this record, we are expecting the After Hours heartbreak into the Dawn of Purgatory, and the last part in the trilogy would then be rebirth, or, you know, in the afterlife with this young Abel. That is then also alluded to further, you know, ahead in this trailer, which I want to talk about. But then we also have this big hand again grabbing the house that he's walking into. We still don't know who exactly that is. Then in the house, though, we have a pretty key scene where we have these popped balloons on the floor of the house. And he's walking into this house, and there's all of these pop balloons, which is interesting, which could, I mean, 100% be a reference to House of Balloons, kind of connecting the trilogies again. It's pretty interesting. I guess you can make a lot of theories about this. Maybe a lot of people already have, so let me know what your interpretations of this scene are in the comments, because I believe that could be pretty central as well, or just a little Easter egg. Then we have this smoke appearing everywhere that has already played somewhat of a role, this black smoke appearing. And then the interesting stuff is he's stepping into the clock. There's like a standing clock, one of those old school clocks that you got with like a pendulum and stuff like that. And he's walking into this clock, this mechanical clock, and we kind of see crazy scenes with some clockwork. And then in the song, there is a new song playing that could likely be titled Runaway. At least that is what I get from the snippet. That is sounding beautiful. I am looking forward to this track so much, because it just sounds so nice. His vocals sit right in your ear. They're so personal. I really like what we've heard from the song so far. If we have a name for it already, let me know in the comments. I'm not that deep into the rollout as of yet, but I'm always looking at all of these new pieces very excitingly. So if you're a hardcore diehard The Weeknd fan and have made theories about all these songs, then please let me and the other fans know in the comments. Then in the clock, which is interesting, there is these multiple mirrors that young Abel is standing in front of, and each of the mirrors reflects a different stage of his life, a different phase in his career, which is interesting because then we could kind of see the clock as him being in a timeless zone where all of the different eras of The Weeknd or Abel come together, and he can kind of reflect on his entire life in its entirety right there. I think that could also be a pretty central, scene that we have here, and what this new album could be about. Him from the purgatory, maybe dying, being reborn as young Abel again, that kid in himself that is also referenced a lot. I went over all of that in the other video that I dropped about the rollout starting. So if you want all the basic info, I really recommend watching the last video that I dropped on this new album Afterlife and the rollout. But this could play a big scene because him being in this timeless room, in this mirror room, could mean that he can then reflect on all the different phases in his life and be reborn as a more complete version of himself again. I'm not sure. This is all just theories. Anyway, then we have the fact that this woman in the white robe that we saw earlier could be his mother, because we then have the scene right before the trailer ends with this woman holding him. We can actually see her face, and right as the camera kind of pans around them and we can see her holding the young Abel, there is the lyric in the song that is played, "My mama told me," and so that could be a direct reference to this being his mother that is maybe catching him after he went through all the purgatory phases and being reborn as a child again, and kind of comforts him. I think that could definitely be something that I can see. And then the end of the trailer just ends in a black screen with a couple of lightning strikes appearing here or there, which will then likely also kind of go over into the next trailer. Now, this is obviously the third trailer that we've gotten. This is obviously pretty big. I still got to watch it a couple of more times, but I think kind of looking at it, a couple of different things here. We definitely have the theme of young Abel being reborn again, him trying to reach something, him maybe running after his mother into the house, and in the end he's successful because she's holding him. So I'm excited on what the new trailer maybe in another 2 weeks then, or another week, brings. I'm also excited to see how he decides to go ahead with this, how he decides to announce a release date or release a single. So we still have a lot of open questions. We have that one candidate for a single, Take Me Back to LA, I believe, that could drop. I do think he's gonna drop a single. That's what he's done for the other 2 albums as well, so I'm guessing that could definitely be the case. But still, it's very interesting, and I love when there's a whole lot of lore, when there's a whole lot of narrative to these album rollouts, and The Weeknd is playing into that 100%. This being his last album under The Weeknd obviously also calls for something big. I'm very excited. The music we've heard so far in the trailers is sounding phenomenal, so I'm really excited for the new music on there as well and what he can bring artistically and creatively to the table. But now I want to know what y'all think about this. How did you like the third trailer? Unprepared Certainty. How does this connect to the other 2 we've seen? Is there still an ongoing story? I can see another trailer dropping because it ends with the triple dots, so kind of suggesting that something is coming after it. There's definitely always something that we also had with the Abyss Gaze is also into you. As I said, all the other info is in my other video on this. But let me know how y'all feel about all of this, and when do you think The Weeknd is dropping his new album Afterlife, maybe titled, in the comments down below. If you watched this video to the end and liked it, and you want to stay up to date with all current hip-hop events and releases, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, hit that like button, and go follow my social media, and most importantly, join my Discord in the description. Until the next one, you'll have an incredible day, and y'all take care.